שלום, אז היום אני רוצה לעשות סרטון מיוחד שידבר על מיינדסט של אנשים עשירים. אבל לפני שאנחנו מתחילים, אל תשכחו לעשות סאב ולייק אם אתם אוהבים את התוכן. עכשיו בואו נתחיל. אז מה קורה לאנשים שזכו בלוטו? האם הם מצליחים לשמור על הכסף או לא? בואו נראה סרטון שמראה מה קרה לאלה שזכו בלוטו. אני אעשה ריאקשן על מה שקרה. אז בואו נתחיל ונראה את החלקים פה. יאללה. אלה הדברים הכי גרועים שקרו לזוכי הלוטו.
Here are a few of the worst things that happen with winning the lottery. Number 7. Willie Seely. When wild Willie Seely and his wife Donna won a share of a $450 million jackpot, they thought that they could finally slow down and live life the way they always wanted to. Willie dreamed of spending his days hunting, fishing, and watching NASCAR without having to worry about how he'll pay his bills. With a boat
זה נשמע טוב, נכון?
load of cash on the way, it seemed like he and his wife could do just that. But reality rarely meets our expectations, and the Seelys' new life was fraught with more stress and complications than they bargained for. First off, the money was not as overwhelming as the humongous jackpot implied. The $450 million pot was first divided between 3 winners. Then Willie
הם התחלקו עם 3 זוכים.
and 15 of his co-workers, who had all bought tickets in a workplace pool, split their share. Willie and his wife walked away with $4 million after tax.
הם קיבלו רק $4 מיליון אחרי מיסים. רק $4 מיליון.
While all of us would love to deposit $4 million into our accounts, it wasn't the mind-blowing fortune they thought they'd won. Still, the Seelys were able to leave their jobs, buy themselves a couple of new cars, and fix up their house, which had taken a beating during Hurricane Sandy. So, what was the issue? Well, it seems with all the media attention that came with winning the lottery, there came an endless stream of people looking to get their hands on the Seelys' money. Their home phone rings non-stop.
הם בטח קיבלו מלא תרומות, וסקאמרים ניסו לרמות אותם.
As long
הכוונה בתרומות שביקשו מהם תרומות, כן?
family members and scammers line up to take their shot at a piece of the winnings. Willie has even brandished his shotgun at unwanted visitors on their property on multiple occasions.
הוא אפילו קנה
While
שוטגן.
the Seelys are thankful for the money they received and the freedom it granted them, they could certainly do without all the strings attached to that much cash. Number 6. The Griffiths. In 2005, Laura and Roger Griffiths won the lottery
הנה עכשיו עוד סיפור.
for £1.8 million. Their lives were forever changed, but not in the way they hoped or expected. While the piles of extra cash allowed them to splurge on luxuries, their
הם קנו מלא דברים יוקרתיים, מכוניות, בתים גדולים.
financial situation grew increasingly more complicated before it completely bottomed out with the economic recession of the late 2000s.
ובמקרה גם נתקעו בדיוק במיתון שהיה בשנות ה-2000.
That certainly wasn't a concern of theirs to begin with, though. They bought themselves a gorgeous stone mansion in
הם קנו אחוזה מטורפת באנגליה, ביורקשייר.
England, where they live with their 2 young daughters. Parked outside was Roger's slick Porsche convertible, which sat next to his wife's Lexus 4x4. Laura used £500,000 to start her own beauty salon. On the
היא ניסתה לפתוח עסק ב-500,000 פאונד.
other hand, Roger quit his steady job to be a stay-at-home dad and watch over the family's finances. When he wasn't doing the laundry or investing the winnings, he was practicing with his old
הוא ניסה להשקיע בבורסה עם הכסף שהוא עשה בלוטו.
rock band, which got back together after Roger bought them all expensive new equipment. But instead of becoming the rock star he always dreamed of, Roger soon found himself separated from his wife, forced to move back in with his elderly parents, and with only 7
הוא נשאר עם 7 פאונד בסוף, וגם התגרש מאשתו? או שרק נפרדו? כתוב כאן separated, לא divorce.
pounds to his name. What in the world went wrong? Turns out, Roger had been making some questionable investments with the lot.
הוא לא ידע איך להשקיע כסף. גם כשאתה משקיע בבורסה, צריך ללמוד, לדעת איך עושים את זה. זה לא סתם לזרוק כסף בלי לעשות שיעורי בית לפני.
Money that had left over after all their lavish spending. He squandered the winnings, and the tanking economy made things even worse. After Laura found emails suggesting Roger was cheating on her, the end of the Griffiths fairy tale life had officially arrived. Roger moved out and is no longer in contact with his wife and children
אפילו את הילדים שלו הפסיד.
as he tries to salvage what little he has left. Laura sold their dream home and her salon, where she still works to try and pay the bills and support her daughters. What started as an unbelievable stroke of good fortune ended up destroying an innocent family's life, leaving them worse.
בקיצור, הרבה מאוד כסף לא גרם להם להיות יותר מאושרים. זה פירק להם את המשפחה בסוף.
Off than they were before. Number 5. Jeffrey Dampier. When you hear about lottery wins gone bad, it's usually the case that reckless spending got the better of the lucky winners. But for Jeff Dampier, his tragic story is an example of what happens when greed overtakes the people around the winner, and their desire to get a slice of that cash pie overrides all else. Jeff and his ex-wife won $20 million from the Illinois lottery back in 1996. When the couple got divorced, they split the winnings 50-50, and Jeff moved down to Tampa, Florida with his second wife, Jeff used a good chunk of the money that remained to open a popcorn company called Cassie's Gourmet Popcorn, named after his daughter. But he also wasn't shy about sharing his wealth with those around him. He often treated his wife's family to generous gifts and even financially supported her two sisters, Victoria and Terry. How did they repay his generosity? They took his life. Victoria Jackson and her boyfriend Nathaniel
רצחו אותו. אחות שלו רצחה אותו? מה?
came up with a nefarious plot to get their hands on Jeff's winnings. They asked him to help out with car troubles at their apartment. When he got there, Nathaniel tied him up and demanded he fork over all his money. In the end, Victoria shot her brother-in-law. Rather than get a piece of the hefty jackpot, Victoria and Nathaniel both got hefty prison sentences. Multiple life sentences to be exact.
הם קיבלו כמה מסרי עולם.
Jeff Dampier's story is a reminder that those around us, even family members, don't always have the best intentions, especially when there's that much cash at stake. Number 4. Susan Mullins. Winning the lottery is hard enough. Spending your winnings wisely is apparently even harder.
באמת זה קשה. איכשהו... כאילו לזכות בלוטו זה קשה מאוד. ועל... איך לבית משפט, למה?
Take you to court for all your worth. Take Virginia lottery winner Suzanne Mullins, for example. Suzanne won $4.2 million in 1993.
הרוויחה $4.2 מיליון בזכייה בלוטו.
Buying a ticket on a whim at a convenience store.
ולא סיפרה לבעלה.
נראה לי.
זה הסיפור הזה.
And claimed she would avoid blowing through the money too quickly, like so many other lottery winners do. The pot was split 3 ways between Suzanne, her husband, and her daughter, so the annual payment she'd receive was roughly $47,000 once a year for 20 years. Suzanne essentially had an entire year's salary coming in the mail every year. That would prove pretty helpful to any family trying to pay through their monthly bills, wouldn't you say? Well, in the end, Suzanne was not nearly as wise with her spending as she originally promised. 5 years later, money had gotten so tight for her after exorbitant medical bills related to her sick son-in-law. She took out a loan
היה לה כאילו אח שחלה באיזה מחלה.
from the People's Lottery Foundation, which lends financial aid to lottery winners who need more cash than their annual payments allow. The foundation lent Suzanne $200,000. The situation grew more complicated when the lottery changed its rules about lump sums in 2000.
Wow.
Now, winners could claim all their money at once instead of receiving yearly payments. Suzanne elected to do just that, thinking she could pay back her loan and carry on with her life. The People's Lottery Foundation had a different opinion, claiming she violated the terms of their agreement.
Wow.
Since they were relying on the interest tied to her loan to make money, Suzanne paying it back in bulk cut into their
עכשיו גם התחלה לשלם חזרה את הכסף שהיא זכתה פה?
Online. They took the lottery winner to court and gouged her for an additional $100,000.
ועוד ביקשו עוד $150,000 יותר מהזכייה?
$50,000 in penalties. Suzanne,
איזה עולם שבור.
winnings, was now $150,000 in debt just a decade after becoming an overnight millionaire. Number 3. Denise Rossi. After winning the lottery, things like smart investments and trips to Las Vegas moved to the top of the winners' to-do lists. Denise Rossi, on the other hand, decided to get a divorce. Just 11 days after winning $1.3 million from the California lottery.
ואשתו התגרשה ממנו 11 יום אחרי שהיא זכתה ב$1.3 מיליון.
Denise abruptly ended her marriage of 25
אחרי 25 שנה של נישואים.
She didn't tell her husband Thomas that she
היא
had
לא סיפרה לבעלה שהיא זכתה בלוטו גם.
won the lottery. She kept that rather important detail completely hidden during the legal proceedings. 2 years later, Thomas caught wind of his ex-wife's good fortune.
במקרה תומאס תפס אותה וגילה שהיא זכתה בלוטו ואז תבע אותה לבית משפט.
He got a letter in the mail from a company offering to pay lump sums to lottery winners. There was just one problem. He didn't win the lottery, or so he thought. Within days, he had uncovered his ex-wife's plot to hide the money she'd won while they were still married, and he took her to court to get his rightful share of the...
הוא תבע אותה לבית משפט, ובעיקרון הם היו אמורים להתחלק חצי-חצי, אבל בית המשפט העניש אותה, וקבע שהיא צריכה להביא לו את כל כספי הזכייה.
Cash. Denise's greed and deception ended up costing her every penny she won from that lottery ticket. The judge, appalled by her behavior, ordered her to pay her ex-husband $60,000 a year for the next 20 years.
הוא אמר לשלם לבעלה הקודם $60,000 בשנה במשך 20 שנה.
California marriage laws, lottery winnings are considered communal funds between spouses. Thomas was entitled to half the money because she bought and cashed the ticket before they were legally separated. Her decision to keep her lottery winnings a secret from her husband of 25 years, ironically, ended up ensuring he'd receive it all. Ouch.
בסוף הוא השיג הכל, ובאמת זה אאוץ'. טוב, אני לא אמשיך עם השניים האחרים, עם השני סיפורים האחרים, אבל בקיצור, אתם יודעים מה הסיבה אבל שרוב האנשים שזכו בלוטו הפסידו? בגלל שצריך לדעת איך לנהל נכון את הכסף. לזכות הרי בלוטו ולקבל סכום חד פעמי של $1,000,000 זה נחמד, אבל אם יש לך הוצאות חודשיות, לא תוכל לשמור על הכנסות גבוהות והוצאות גבוהות לאורך זמן. בסוף הכסף ייגמר. ולכן מה שעושים הרבה מאוד אנשים עשירים זה שהם קונים נכסים, כדי שהנכסים האלה יממנו להם את ההוצאות. ולכן להיות בן אדם עשיר זה לא להיות בן אדם עם $100,000,000 או $50,000,000, אלא בן אדם שיש לו יותר הכנסות מהוצאות. $1,000,000 בחשבון בנק זה מפגר, במיוחד כשהאינפלציה גבוהה כמו היום. עדיף לשים את זה במניות, כסף וזהב, נדל"ן, עסקים, יזמות, ספרים, נכסים דיגיטליים ועוד. אפילו ליצור שירות SaaS באינטרנט, Software as a Service. זה גם סבבה. ואז אפשר לממן את מה שאתם רוצים. אז חשוב לזכור שבשביל להיות בן אדם עשיר, זה לא משנה כמה כסף אתם מרוויחים, משנה כמה כסף נשאר לכם בסוף החודש. ואתם צריכים לחשוב איך ליצור עוד הכנסות, ולא לחפש על מה להוציא את הכסף, על שטויות שאתם לא צריכים. תמיד לקנות דברים שאתם צריכים ותשתמשו בהם. הרי אם אתם קונים משהו ולא משתמשים בו, אז למה לקנות את זה? למה? בכל אופן, אז זה כל מה שהיה לי להראות היום על מיינדסט של אנשים עשירים, בעיקר להראות לכם שזוכי לוטו לא באמת הופך בן אדם לעשיר, אפילו שהוא השקיע בבורסה. למרות כל זה, הוא עדיין הפסיד את כל הכסף, כי הוא לא ידע גם איפה להשקיע. ולכן חשוב ללמוד וללמוד וללמוד לפני שקונים מניות. אתם מבינים? אז זה הכל להיום. תודה רבה שצפיתם בסרטון, ואם אתם עדיין לא רשומים לערוץ, הגיע הזמן לעשות את הבחירה הנכונה וללחוץ על סאב ולעשות לייק ולשתף את הסרטון עם עוד אנשים. תודה רבה ויום טוב, וננסה לעשות עוד סרטונים כאלה. יאללה, ביי.